If you grew up in the 1970s, you remember a time when music was everywhere. From the radio in your parents' car to Saturday morning cartoons, certain songs became the soundtrack of childhood. These are 15 songs kids in the 70s grew up with. Number 15, ABC by the Jackson 5. The Jackson 5 kicked off the decade with one of the catchiest songs kids would ever hear. ABC hit number 1 in April 1970, and from the first note, it was impossible to sit still. The song taught the alphabet in the most fun way possible, comparing learning to love as simple as counting.
ABC is easy as 1, 2, 3.
Young Michael Jackson was just 11 years old when this record dominated the airwaves. His voice had an energy that made kids want to sing along, whether they could carry a tune or not. The song played constantly on AM radio, and kids heard it at roller skating rinks, school dances, and birthday parties. The Jackson 5 had become a phenomenon almost overnight. Berry Gordy at Motown Records knew he had something special with these 5 brothers from Gary, Indiana. ABC was their second number 1 hit, following I Want You Back, and it proved they weren't just a flash in the pan. Kids in the early 70s couldn't escape this song, and most didn't want to. It had a bounce and joy that matched the energy of childhood. The simple message and irresistible melody made it perfect for young listeners who were just discovering that music could make you feel alive. Number 14, Joy to the World by Three Dog Night. In 1971, Three Dog Night released a song that had nothing to do with Christmas despite its title. Joy to the World was about a bullfrog named Jeremiah, and it became one of the biggest hits of the decade. For 6 weeks, it sat at number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100. Hoyt Axton wrote the song, though he never recorded it himself. Three Dog Night turned it into something special. The band had a knack for finding great songs written by other people and making them their own. Lead singer Danny Hutton's vocals gave the song a warmth that appealed to listeners of all ages. Kids loved singing along to the bullfrog parts, making up their own versions and giggling at the absurdity of it all. The song played at summer camps, on long car trips, and during family gatherings. Parents didn't mind because the melody was pleasant and the lyrics were harmless. Three Dog Night was one of the most successful bands of the early 1970s, racking up 21 top 40 hits. But Joy to the World remained their biggest, a song that transcended generations and became a permanent part of the American songbook. Number 13, Crocodile Rock by Elton John. Elton John gave kids their own rock and roll song in 1972. Crocodile Rock was a nostalgic throwback to the music of the 1950s, but kids didn't care about that. They just knew it was fun, with a bouncy piano part and a chorus you could shout at the top of your lungs. The song reached number 1 in the United States and became one of Elton John's signature hits. Bernie Taupin wrote the lyrics, referencing old rock and roll dances and the music of yesteryear. But the track had a modern energy that made it perfect for the early 70s. Kids heard Crocodile Rock everywhere. It played on top 40 radio stations, at school functions, and during commercial breaks on television. The la 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 part was simple enough for anyone to sing, and playground versions of the song popped up across the country. Elton John was entering his imperial phase, releasing hit after hit throughout the decade. But Crocodile Rock held a special place because it was accessible to younger listeners who might not have connected with his more serious work. It was pure, uncomplicated fun at a time when music could still be that simple. Number 12, The Candyman by Sammy Davis Jr.
The Candyman can. Oh, the Candyman can.
In 1972, Sammy Davis Jr. recorded a song from the movie Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory that became an unexpected hit. The Candyman climbed to number 1, introducing a new generation to the legendary entertainer.
Candyman can, 'cause he mixes it with love and makes the world taste.
The song had appeared in the 1971 film, sung by Aubrey Woods as the candy shop owner. But it was Davis who turned it into a pop sensation. His smooth vocal delivery and the orchestral arrangement made it appealing to both kids and their parents. The song painted a picture of a magical candy maker who could make everything feel right.
The Candyman makes everything he makes satisfying.
Kids who had seen Willy Wonka in theaters connected the song to the whimsical world of the film. Even those who hadn't seen the movie found something enchanting about the lyrics and melody. It played constantly on AM radio throughout 1972, becoming one of the year's biggest hits.
Separate the sorrow and collect all the cream. The Candyman.
Sammy Davis Jr. had been entertaining for decades by this point, but The Candyman introduced him to a younger audience. Parents appreciated hearing a song their kids enjoyed that came from someone of their own generation. The song became a bridge between generations, a rare achievement in popular music.
You know the Candyman can, 'cause he mixes it with love to make the world.
Number 11, Bennie and the Jets by Elton John. Elton John returned in 1973 with a song that kids found irresistible, despite not understanding what it meant. Bennie and the Jets had a strange, stuttering rhythm and lyrics about a futuristic band that didn't quite make sense. But none of that mattered because the song was undeniably cool. The track came from the Goodbye Yellow Brick Road album, one of the most successful records of the decade. Originally released as a single in the United Kingdom, it gained traction in the United States through black radio stations, an unusual path for a white British artist. The song climbed to number 1 in 1974. Kids loved the clapping sounds that appeared throughout the recording, artificial audience noise that made listeners feel like they were at a concert. The piano riff was memorable and fun to try to play if you had access to a keyboard. The song had an edge that felt rebellious, even if you were just 10 years old. Bernie Taupin's lyrics referenced glam rock and electric boots and mohair suits, things that sounded futuristic and exciting. Kids didn't need to understand every reference to enjoy the ride. The song became a staple of 70s radio and remains one of Elton John's most beloved tracks. Number 10, Hooked on a Feeling by Blue Swede. Blue Swede, a Swedish rock band, took a country song and transformed it into something completely different in 1974. Hooked on a Feeling featured the now iconic Ooga Chaka intro that immediately grabbed your attention. The song reached number 1 and became an inescapable part of 1974.
Girl, you just don't realize.
The original version had been recorded by B.J. Thomas in 1968 as a country soul ballad. British musician Jonathan King had added the Ooga Chaka chant to his cover version, inspired by a Swedish band he had heard. Blue Swede then took King's arrangement and made it their own, creating the version that became famous. Kids loved chanting along to the nonsensical opening. School buses and playgrounds echoed with children attempting their own versions of Ooga Chaka. The song had a happiness to it that matched the carefree feeling of childhood summers.
All the good love when we're all alone.
Blue Swede never had another major hit in the United States. making them a one-hit wonder despite success in their home country. But Hooked on a Feeling became a permanent part of 70s culture. The song has been featured in countless movies and television shows, always bringing back memories of that distinctive opening and the era when it ruled the airwaves. Number 9. Dancing Queen by ABBA. When ABBA released Dancing Queen in 1976, they created a song that would be sung at every school dance and roller rink for years to come. The Swedish group had already found success with other hits, but this song became their masterpiece. It reached number 1 in the United States in early 1977 and stayed there for several weeks. The song told the story of a 17-year-old girl having the time of her life on the dance floor. Kids might not have been 17, but they understood the joy of dancing without a care in the world. The production was immaculate, with layered vocals and a disco beat that was impossible to resist. ABBA had perfected the art of creating pop songs that appealed to everyone. Dancing Queen played at birthday parties, family gatherings, and anywhere people wanted to have fun. Parents and children could enjoy it together, a rarity in popular music. The song came at the height of the disco era, when dance music dominated the charts. But Dancing Queen transcended the disco label, becoming something more universal. Kids who grew up hearing it would carry the song with them for the rest of their lives, always ready to sing along when those first piano notes played. Number 8. Car Wash by Royce. Royce brought funk and soul to kids' ears in 1976 with Car Wash, the title track from the movie of the same name. The song reached number 1 and became one of the defining sounds of the mid-70s. Kids might not have understood all the lyrics, but the groove was undeniable. The song was written and produced by Norman Whitfield, who had created hits for The Temptations and other Motown acts. Royce was essentially Whitfield's house band, and Car Wash showcased their tight musicianship. The horns, the rhythm section, and Gwen Dickey's powerful vocals combined to create something special. Kids heard Car Wash constantly on the radio and saw the movie, which was rated PG and became a modest hit. The song's energy made it perfect for roller skating, and many rinks kept it in heavy rotation. School talent shows featured kids attempting their own versions, though few could match the original's polish. Royce had other hits, but Car Wash remained their signature song. It captured a moment in time when funk and disco were merging, creating a sound that defined the second half of the decade. For kids growing up in the 70s, it represented the kind of music that made you want to move. Number 7. Best of My Love by The Emotions. The Emotions gave kids a taste of smooth soul in 1977 with Best of My Love. The song spent 5 weeks at number 1, becoming one of the year's biggest hits. Maurice White of Earth, Wind and Fire produced the track, bringing his signature sound to the Chicago-based group. The three sisters who made up The Emotions had been singing together since childhood, and their harmonies were flawless. Best of My Love showcased their ability to blend voices in a way that sounded effortless. The production was lush and sophisticated, but the melody was simple enough for kids to grasp. Radio stations played Best of My Love constantly throughout 1977. Kids heard it in their parents' cars, at the grocery store, and on television variety shows. The song had a warmth that made it comforting. the kind of music that made long summer days feel even more relaxed. The Emotions had found success before this song, but Best of My Love took them to another level. It became their signature hit, the song people would always associate with their name. For kids growing up in the late 70s, it was one of those songs that seemed to play everywhere you went. Number 6. We Will Rock You by Queen. Queen created an anthem in 1977 that kids could perform anywhere. We Will Rock You required nothing but feet and hands, stomping and clapping in a pattern that became instantly recognizable around the world. The song reached number 4 in the United States and became a permanent part of sports culture.
We will rock you.
Brian May wrote the song after Queen had performed at a concert, where the audience sang along to every song. He wanted to create something the audience could participate in more directly. The result was a stripped-down track with just stomps, claps, and vocals for most of its duration, before the guitar came crashing in at the end.
We will rock you.
Kids learned "We Will Rock You" at school, on the playground, and at sporting events. It didn't require musical ability. Anyone could stomp their feet twice and clap once. The chant became a way to rally crowds, show team spirit, and just make noise together. The song has endured for decades, still played at nearly every sporting event. But for kids in the late 70s, it was fresh and exciting, a song that gave them power in its simplicity. Queen had created something that transcended music and became a form of communication.
We will rock you.
Number 5. Stayin' Alive by Bee Gees. The Bee Gees were everywhere. In 1977 and 1978, thanks to the Saturday Night Fever soundtrack. Stayin' Alive became one of the most recognizable songs of the disco era, with its driving beat and falsetto vocals. The song reached number 1 and became synonymous with the entire decade. Kids heard "Stayin' Alive" constantly, even if they were too young to see the R-rated movie it came from. The song played on the radio, in stores, and at school dances. The beat was infectious, and even kids who claimed to hate disco found themselves moving to the rhythm. Barry Gibb wrote the song with his brothers Robin and Maurice, creating a track that perfectly captured the disco sound. The production by the Bee Gees and Albie Galutin made it sound huge, with every element perfectly balanced. The bass line became one of the most famous in pop music history. Stayin' Alive represented a cultural moment when disco dominated everything. Kids didn't understand the lyrics about struggling to survive in the city, but they responded to the energy. The song made you want to walk with a swagger, made you feel cool just listening to it. Number 4. You're the One That I Want from Grease. In the summer of 1978, Grease became a cultural phenomenon, and kids were just as caught up in it as teenagers and adults. John Travolta and Olivia Newton-John's duet, "You're the One That I Want," reached number 1 and became one of the best-selling singles of all time. The song came during the carnival scene at the end of the movie, when Sandy transforms into a bad girl and Danny has cleaned up his act. Kids might not have fully understood the romantic dynamics, but they loved the energy and the back and forth between the singers. "You're the One That I Want" played everywhere. In 1978, radio stations couldn't get enough of it, and the Grease soundtrack became one of the best-selling albums of the decade. Kids learned all the words and performed it at talent shows and in living rooms across America. The song's success helped make Grease one of the most successful movie musicals ever made. For kids growing up in the late 70s, it became one of those shared experiences that defined the era. Even if you hadn't seen the movie, you knew this song. Number 3. YMCA by Village People.
Young man, there's no need to feel down. I said, young man.
Village People created a phenomenon in 1978 with YMCA, a song that came with its own dance. Kids learned to spell out the letters with their arms, a simple choreography that became universal. The song reached number 2 on the Billboard Hot 100 and became one of the most enduring hits of the disco era.
It's fun to stay at the YMCA. It's fun to stay.
Victor Willis and Jacques Morali wrote the song as a tribute to the Young Men's Christian Association, highlighting it as a place where young men could find help and community. Kids didn't think about any of that. They just knew it was fun to sing and dance along, especially during the spelling part. YMCA played at roller skating rinks, school dances, and birthday parties. Any event that needed to get kids moving inevitably included this song. The dance was simple enough that everyone could participate, from the most coordinated to those who could barely keep rhythm. Village People had created a character-based group where each member represented a different masculine archetype. Kids didn't analyze the concept. They just enjoyed the catchy songs and the spectacle. YMCA became the song that defined the group and outlasted the disco era that spawned it. Number 2. Le Freak by Chic. Chic brought sophisticated disco to the masses in 1978 with Le Freak. The song spent 5 weeks at number 1 and became one of the best-selling singles in Atlantic Records history. Kids might not have understood the French title, but they responded to the groove. Nile Rodgers and Bernard Edwards wrote the song after being refused entry to Studio 54, the famous New York nightclub. The original lyrics were about their frustration, but they cleaned them up for radio. The result was a dance track that had bite underneath its polished surface. Le Freak had a guitar riff that hooked listeners immediately. Kids heard it on the radio, at skating rinks, and anywhere people were dancing. The command to freak out became a catchphrase, shouted at playgrounds and parties. The song made you want to move, even if you didn't know how to dance. Chic represented the more elegant side of disco, with tight musicianship and sophisticated arrangements. Le Freak showed that dance music could be both fun and expertly crafted. For kids in 1978, it was just another great song in a year filled with them. Number 1. My Sharona by the Knack. As the decade came to a close, the Knack released My Sharona in 1979, a song that sounded different from much of the disco that dominated the charts. The track had a rock edge with a memorable bass line and an intensity that appealed to kids who were ready for something new. Doug Feger wrote the song about a girl named Sharona Alperin, whom he had met and become infatuated with. The song climbed to number 1 and stayed there for 6 weeks, becoming the biggest hit of 1979. Kids responded to the energy and the driving beat that made it perfect for air guitar performances. My Sharona played constantly on the radio throughout the summer of 1979. The song had a rawness that felt refreshing after years of polished disco productions. Kids learned every guitar lick, every drum fill, and sang along even when they didn't quite understand all the lyrics. The Knack was sometimes called the New Beatles by critics who saw them as saviors of rock and roll in the disco era. That comparison proved too heavy to sustain, and the band never matched the success of their first single. But My Sharona remained a classic, a song that kids at the end of the 70s would never forget. The 1970s gave children a soundtrack that shaped their memories and stayed with them long after the decade ended. These 15 songs represent just a fraction of the music that defined childhood for an entire generation. From disco to rock, from soul to pop, the decade offered something for everyone. If these songs brought back memories of roller skating rinks, school dances, or long summer days, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more trips down memory lane. What songs from the 70s do you remember most from your childhood? Share your memories in the comments below.